Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us in our Simplify webinar series. Today, we're going to be going over a data change log. Wonderful Gil is going to be taking us through some advanced reporting and analysis and just really talking to you guys today about how you can use the SAP Analytics Cloud within the SAP Business Data Cloud to track changes to your forecast, budget, and actuals with greater clarity. So Gil, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Petra. I am going to share my screen here. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to walk you through some of the options we could do in SAC regarding data audit and how to track changes in your models. So the first thing you got to do is any model you have to make sure that the data audit option is turned on, right? So I'm going to go here to my modeler, and I'm going to make sure that we have for this this model, I'm going to have data audit on, right? Actually, this is my data change log model that is coming from my source model. So this one does not have data audit on. Let me take you to that one, which is the source modeler. And basically what we're going to do, what I want is to track changes in this Simplify Sales Plan currency model here. And in this one, I have the configuration that has data audit on. So if you have a modeler that's currently in production or is live, and you turn this data audit on, it'll obviously start on that date. On that date forward, you're going to be able to go back and see data changes and all that stuff. If you don't have it turned on, obviously you cannot track any of this. So this one is turned on. And what you get when you have that data auditor on is when you go to this menu here, down the security, you can look at the data changes that were made in that model. So let me take it out again. And when you go open it up, here's all the changes it has tracked since I turned that data auditor on. And it gives you a lot of different information. So all of these columns here are the dimensions that exist in that source model. And then over here at the side, it gives you what the data changes that were made. And it gives you some data information and everything you would need in an audit. Right? So this is great. This is usable. This is as soon as you turn on a data audit, you can come in here and track all the changes. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to take this data auditor to the next level and make it a little bit easier for users to be able to track and look at changes. Because what we're actually going to do is create a model out of this auditor, right? And that will give you the ability to create stories, create charts, create anything you do with any of your regular models with this information that comes out of your data audit. So in order to do that, the first thing you need to do is configure some things on the back end of your system here. And what you have to do is go to the system admin, and there's a tab here that's app integration. And what you're going to see here is that I set up my data audit log. Now, there is a good blog out there that'll show you step by step how to configure this. And there is some configuration on it because when you set it up, right, it gives you some things that you're going to use to be able to export the data out of SAC and then import it back into your new model. Okay. So you can see here that I have this thing set up, and then from here, you go to your data export service. Oh, sorry. You go to your system admin again, and you have to find, what you have to do is allow this data to be exported. So you set this up here, you go to system configuration, make sure that the data export piece is turned on. And then after this has been configured, you're going to set up a connection to your data. And that is here, right? So any connections you have from any outside systems, you're going to set one up to bring data in from your own SAC system. And that's here, this one. So I've set up the app integration, and then I've set up my connection. And what the connection asks for is a couple of things, right? What is your credentials? What are your client ID? And what are the secret and token URL? These things, these four right here, come from that configuration that I just showed you on the other tab from the app integration, right? You get these four items, and then up here is the service URL, right? And this is just the regular URL for SAC with the connection at the end. This connection at the end is your model ID, right? So you set this up, you hit OK, and then once this has been integrated, now you have a connection to your own SAC system, right? And how you find your model ID is any model you have on SAC, you open it up, and it is the last remaining after this model / here, this is your model ID. So in your connection, that's what you're going to need to put in this space right here. So now I've got this thing configured with that model ID that I have here. And so you're basically connecting your system to itself. Now, the next thing you need to do is create the model for your data change log, right? Because we have our model that the data is coming from, and then you're going to have to create a new model to house all of your audit data. And what I did, and you could do it when you do a data import, you could bring in all the model information. But what I did instead is I created each of the same dimensions here, but just very simple, no properties, no anything, just a member ID and a description. That's it for all these. Because this isn't a live model. Basically, you're just looking at this model to track your data changes and to look at your data audit stuff. So each of these dimensions is all generic, very simple. And then you have your measures, right? So the measures, and you can see these four measures that I have here. When I go back to the data auditor, the data changes, these are the four measures that the data auditor already gives you. Okay, so when I open this guy, you can see here at the end are all the signed data pieces that the auditor is going to give you. And so it gives you the old signed data, which is the data before the changes, the new signed data, which is the data after the changes, and then the delta of the two, right? And it'll give you an audit flag as well. So now that I've got the model set up, what you want to do is come into the data management of this model, and we're going to connect it through an import job to that connection that we just created, right? And I've already done it, so let me hit the editor here and show you what it looks like. Or actually, I may want to set up another one again, because it actually shows you all, like any other data manager that you're bringing in here. It's going to ask you what dimensions you're bringing in, what columns you're mapping to what, everything like you do for any regular data import. Yeah, let's set up a new one. So to hit that connection that I just created, it is down here at that O data services connection. And you're going to see that there's my data change log connection that I have configured earlier. And I'm going to bring it in, and I'm going to create a new query. And when I set up the connection, right, here's all the information that you're going to get from your data audit connection, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these guys because I want all my data change log information here to come in. Yeah, I'm going to go to the fact data, and I want all of this stuff to come in to my new model. Oh, actually, hold on. This is the data audit. You want the data auditor because it gives you those 4 measures that you want, right? So this is how the information currently sits in your data auditor, right? It brings you these 4 measures, which are those signed data. This is what the old data looked like, what the new data was, what the delta is, the auditor flag, yes, and then the audit time, what time the data changes came through, right? So I'm going to grab every one of these, put it here. I want all this information. And here you can, if you have some certain dimensions that you don't really care about or that users don't make changes on, that you don't, it's not going to bother you for as far as an audit goes, you can leave that dimension off. But right now, I'm basically bringing on an exact copy replica of the modeler I'm bringing in. I'm bringing all the audit data. Right, but then here in this step, what you do is you set it up just like any other import. And when we get to the mapping phase, you can do everything you do on a regular import job. You have all those options, right? Create calculations there. You can do whatever you want. But this is going to be a very simple. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm bringing all the audit data stuff that I'm going to get out of this piece here. I'm going to bring it into a model. If it actually, this one actually has refreshed. No. It might take a little while because there's a lot of data behind here. But I just want to show you that it's pretty much the exact same thing you do on every import. And then it's going to funnel all the data into this new model. Actually, while it's doing that, let's go to here, and I'll show you what the model looks like. Looks like here. Yeah, and you can see that any version that I had in that source model, after I imported it, it has brought data in here. Now, the reason that actual shows empty is that I turned on that audit change log after we had actual data in this model. But you can see that any other version, it has been tracking any of the changes that we have made. Right? This is taking a little while. Let's go to story. So once you have the data in here, right? Once you have all the data in your new model, you can do anything that you can create any story chart that and filter that you can with any regular SAC model, right? It's just that your measures are now those 4 measures that the audit capabilities of SAC track. So the business case for this is, okay, I want to have a user that's pretty good at SAC, that doesn't want to go to that data auditor, that knows how to create good stories in SAC, and him be able to come in here and say, okay, for our budget, who has changed data? What was the data before? Give me all the information that has happened to a data point in the past month or whatever. So you could come in here and add your filters and everything, and have everything that that data auditor gives you here in the form of a story, and much easier for a user to come in, and it's more usable than the audit log that it gives you through the auditor data, the auditor here, right? It is taking a little time for this thing to come in here. Just know that, yeah, it is, and once it's basically just another import job like you would do for any other model. And then once you're here, right, you would need to, since you have it in an SAC model, you can set this thing to refresh and bring new data whenever you want, or you can set it up like this, where you can set data actions to go and pull the new data audit data through a simple data action that you can run here for whatever versions you want to look at. This is taking as well. Could be that there's a lot of data in this model, but there you go. So that's the configuration of creating a model out of the data auditor and be able to report on it as if it were just another regular model in your system. The initial setup, the creating the connection, and then creating the import are the heavy lifts here, right? Because once you turn on the data auditor, obviously you have that other option here. But once you set this up, oh, yep, it's very easy to here map. Yeah, here's the import, right? So here's the connection. We set up the connection, then we set up the import, and it's looking at everything that you have in that source model. It's coming in here, plus those 4 new measures that you're going to need here. And then the next step is just mapping everything to it here, right? And since we created those dimensions as empty dimensions, if you set up here the import to update your local members, your local dimension members, with the information that's coming from this import, what it's going to do is it's going to populate all those different dimensions with the members that are in your other model. So you don't have to, like here in this initial setup, in these dimensions, you don't have to pre-populate these dimension members with any data, right? So all I did was basically create this generic dimension that had 2 fields, but all these members weren't there. The members come in during the import. So when you set this up here to update local dimensions with new members, during this import, it's actually creating all that master data for you, and then writing all the data points to those measures. So here you can see the mapping is each dimension is mapped to one of the columns that's coming out of my source, and then it's writing these members into that dimension itself, and then writing the data to it. So you don't have to have a separate import for the master data and then one for the data. It's all done in one. And then when you come to your story, depending on what you want to see, right, you could have, and here I'm only bringing IDs. You can also bring in descriptions if you chose to. But that is essentially how it is done. And yeah, now you have all your audit data in a model rather than having to go into this data change log to do anything. So the reason you would do this, and we've had a couple clients do it, is they found this log here to be a little cumbersome, so they wanted it to be more readily available and more easily usable, to be able to write a story to a data audit model and be able to have this show up like this, and have all the functionalities of filtering and all that stuff that SAC gives you. I think that is all I had today. So I don't know if there are any questions.
Not yet, but we'll give everybody a second. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box here. If you guys don't have any questions, you can definitely find this webinar and all of our previous past webinars located on our website, on our Go-To On Demand page, and on our YouTube channel. You can definitely just search Simplify Solutions. Make sure you guys are also following us on LinkedIn so that you can stay up to date with our webinar schedule and everything that we have coming up over the rest of the month. We've got a really awesome host of webinars coming up, a lot of stuff on planning and analytics. So if you guys are interested in that, just make sure, again, you follow us on LinkedIn at Simplify Solutions. You guys will also be receiving the link to the recording for this webinar in the next coming days. You'll definitely have it by the end of the week. But if there are no questions today, we just thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you guys on our next webinar.
Thank you.